We have police officers in New York. We have police officers in Italy and Addis Ababa. And Madam Speaker, when this thing came before our committee, we raised several questions. One among them was, Haiti is a French-speaking country. How are we going to send our officers there? And Madam Speaker, it came to my realization that security officers speak in silence. And that is why if you come to Laikipia today, Madam Speaker, where the British Army used to train since colonial times to date, you will get children of mixed races. And these officers don't speak in Maasai language, and the Maasais don't speak the British language. But how these things happen, it is because security officers speak in silence. And Madam Speaker, Burundi is sending its troops there. Burundi is a Swahili and French-speaking nation, and they're going to give support to our troops. Senegal is sending its troops there. Madam Speaker, we are a global nation. We are an international community. When the world is not safe, when Haiti is not safe, we are not safe. What is happening in Haiti, Madam Speaker, is some gangs terrorizing locals. Women are raped, children are kicked out of their houses, and what our police is going to do is to give support to the Haitian police to train them, to secure critical infrastructure. And Madam Speaker, if a woman in Haiti is not saved, I'm not safe in Kenya. So Madam Speaker, I want to support, and again, I want to refer this House to the Constitution, the National Police Act, Section 1081. And Madam Speaker, unless we are speaking in
the Honorable Member for Nyaribari Chache, Zahi Janda.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I rise to support the Haiti motion because, Madam Speaker, we are a global community of nations, and it is absolutely essential for Kenya, together with other multinationals, to help Haiti. It is a matter of humanitarian consideration to help offer support to our brothers and sisters in Haiti. Madam Speaker, the sole aim is to help usher in stability, development, and democratic governance through a political framework owned and driven by the people of Haiti. Madam Speaker, it was through a request by the UN Security Council of the deployment of multinational security missions to Haiti. Kenya, Madam Speaker, will help to reinforce Haiti National Police Force. Madam Speaker, I fully support the deployment of Kenyan Police Force. Madam Speaker, you are aware that we have forces in the DRC and other African countries, and you can see what our troops have done in Congo. So I stand to support. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Karoli Omondi.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I begin by first noting that there exists a proper legal framework for the deployment of our police servicemen and women overseas, and that is under Article 107 and 108 of the National Police Service Act. I think that matter rests there. Though I would urge that proper gazette notices be issued by the executive to give effect to those provisions. Madam Speaker, the seeds of the current turmoil in Haiti commenced with the arrival of Christopher Columbus in the New World. And if you've had the privilege of reading the book by C.L.R. James, The Black Jacobins, who was a teacher of my friend who has just left here, the member for Kamkunji. He begins by saying, Christopher Columbus landed in the New World, and after praising God, urgently inquired for gold. In other words, it was an expedition of exploitation. And when they annihilated the indigenous Indian population of Haiti, efforts were made to transship Africans from the west coast of Africa to Haiti. And since then, Haiti has prospered, created a lot of wealth for so many people, but has also been a tragedy to the African people. It is my conviction that it is very important that we all take an interest in what is happening in Haiti. Haiti was the first African-led country in the Western Hemisphere, where the slaves rose up, fought away the French, won their freedom,
The Honorable Member for Belgut. The member for Belgut is not there. The Honorable Member for Tindiret. Your time is up.
Thank you. Is it me or?
Let's give the Honorable Chair now that he has arrived.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Allow me also to add my voice on the deployment to Haiti. And like many of my colleagues have said, in fact, I really don't understand why they did not involve the Defense Committee on this matter. And I've listened to TJ Kajwang. I just want to invite him also to look at the act. If you look at the discretion, you will go to 1081, and you will see the President will also interpret the discretion differently. But I don't want to go to the details. Let me just go to the humanitarian bit of why we need our police officers to be in Haiti as soon as possible. Honorable Speaker, we've done, this country has been on different missions before, with people on missions on countries where we are not even related in any way, not in color, not in religion, but we participated. Our officers have been to Kosovo, our officers have been to Sierra Leone, our officers have been to East Timor. In fact, the Deputy DIG, Gabo himself, led a mission that did so well in East Timor. And it is part of the reasons why we must deploy our officers to Haiti. Kenya in 2018 was recognized, and 28 officers by the United Nations and promoted. In fact, the United Nations took one of the officers, the Chief Inspector of Police, Kerubo, and retained in the UN because of the deployment that had been done to Southern Sudan and the work that they did in Southern Sudan, and in recognition for their distinguished service in Southern Sudan in trying to restore peace in that country. Our officers were recognized by the United Nations, and on 26th June of 2028, 23 Kenyan police officers were awarded different medals of recognition for that effort. Honorable Speaker, our foreign policy is hinged on 5 pillars. There is peace diplomacy, economic diplomacy, environmental diplomacy, cultural diplomacy, and diaspora diplomacy. This country must continuously be the anchor of peace that it is. We must continuously engage in making sure that the regions that we've been asked or deployed, we as a country are able to participate in restoring peace within the region. Honorable Speaker, Kenya has done so well. We've like I did mention in the beginning of the week, shortly our officers from Somali who have restored relative calm will be on a drawdown coming back to the country. We are engaged in peace missions within the region, in the Democratic Republic of Congo, Somalia, Burundi, and many other countries. I honestly do not see why we cannot go to Haiti. The problem in Haiti, and we should also be very fair, Kenya, this is the gangs, and they are only in the capital of Haiti, that is Port-au-Prince. The gangs that Haiti is dealing with are about 200 gangs. This country before, and the records are here in this house, in the year 2017, we were told Kenya had 325 gangs, including Mungiki, including Chingororo, and many other gangs that we have. Honorable Soro is not amused about Chingororo. But all of them were quelled by our police officers. Honorable Speaker, I want to submit that our officers are able, and there is no reason why we should not deploy our officers to Haiti. Honorable Speaker, I support.
The Honorable Member for Lari, Honorable Joseph Kahangera.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I raise under Standing Order 95, considering that we have had many members who are supporting and those who are opposed, considering also that we have more important business before the House. Madam Speaker, I wish to ask that the mover be called to reply.
It seems it's the mood of the House that I should... Mover will reply. Seems it's the mood of the House. I should put the question. Honorable members, I now... Honorable... Rubatongoya. Honorable members, it's hard to decide, so we'll proceed with this first. Honorable members, I now put the question that taking into account the consideration and the recommendations of the Joint Committee of the National Assembly, Departmental Committee on Administration and Internal Security, that the Joint Committee of the National Assembly, led by the Honorable Member Tongoya as the chair, be called to reply. Honorable members, I now put the question that taking into consideration, Honorable members, just allow me to proceed with this. We have to say it properly, which means I have to say the title of the Joint Committee, which is chaired by Honorable Tongoya, to be called to reply. I want to put that question. Yeah, so if you just let me do my job. Honorable members, because there is a dispute as to whether we should put whether the mover should reply or not. Isn't that the question before the House? So I want to ask, yes, I want to ask whether the House is in agreement. You will have an opportunity to decide as the House whether the mover should be called to reply or not. Okay, Honorable Member, when you finish making your altercation. What's your point of order, Honorable Otiende?
Madam Speaker, I want your guidance. I will wait until you're done consulting. Madam Speaker, I wish to get your guidance on a fundamental matter, and that is the fact that this being a house of debate, usually the minority will have their say and the majority will have their way. Madam Speaker, I want to bring to your attention that it may not be easy for you to determine who is the majority and who is the minority. But it is clear that in the course of this very short debate, it is the majority who have had the greatest contribution in the following manner. The Honorable Yusuf came to the minority side and is clearly of the majority side. The Honorable Korere came to the minority side, is clearly of the majority side, with the result that being minority, we are not even, I'm on a point of order, Mr. Majority Leader, I'm on a point of order. You can't be on a point of order
Honorable
So
Otiende,
all I wanted, your guidance is this. The guidance I want is this.
I will give you the guidance.
Yes. Where it is clear that the minority is denied both their say and clearly their way, is that in line with the parliamentary standing orders?
Honorable Otiende, the mere fact that somebody is from the minority side doesn't mean that they are required to always object or not support the report. The point is that the minority side got the opportunity equal to that of the majority side. If the members of the minority side decided to support the majority side, that is within the prerogative of those individual members. And honorable members, because there seems to be disagreement as to whether the mover should reply or not, I will put the question as to whether the mover should reply or not, and then you will have the chance to have your ayes and nays. Honorable members, I now put the question that the mover be called to reply. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Will as many as of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. You have insufficient numbers. You don't have sufficient numbers. Okay, the numbers are not sufficient. Mover to reply.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I want to take this opportunity to really thank members who contributed into this very important motion. And having keenly listened to all of them, it's true it's a very important matter. And I want to appreciate all of you who supported to send our very disciplined, professional, and competent officers to the country of Haiti to help bring peace to that country of our African descendant. Madam Speaker, I just want to highlight a few things. One, why Kenya was appointed as the lead nation. It's true, Madam Speaker, is on record that Kenya has previously participated in helping bringing peace to the world. And there are a few countries that we had mentioned, and mentioned by Leader of Majority and others who have spoken.
What's your point of order, Honorable Osoro?
Madam Speaker, protect me.
Honorable Speaker, Honorable Mayo is acting disorderly in this house. She's tearing and throwing papers around while a member is making presentation, Honorable Speaker. I think it is quite in order for her to behave that way in the floor of the House. Tearing papers, you know, throwing papers all over, walking around and shouting. Honorable Catherine Omayo.
Okay, I didn't see that, but I will get the cameras. We will have the cameras reviewed, and the matter she can be dealt with at a later time. Let us proceed, member for Narok.
So, Madam Speaker, thank you so much. I've just mentioned that I want to outline a few things, Madam Speaker. One, the very fundamental question before us here is whether the procedure was followed. I want to confirm to the country and this House that the committee followed the due process of law to the letter. And it has been actually from the report, Madam Speaker, attached to the report, it indicated how we, from the Security Council, from the UN, coming to the CS, Internal Security and Administration, coming, Leader Kidogo, just a bit. So I want to confirm that we followed the due process to the letter, Madam Speaker. It is evidence, Madam Speaker, out of the 15 members of the committee, we had 14 or 13 approving the report and deployment of our officers, and only one minority report, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, it is true that Kenya has participated previously in several peace missions, and they had continuously done it with great distinction and honor. We are a proud country that we are known for many other things, and including also our officers to help bringing peace. Madam Speaker, there is one thing that I want just to bring it to the attention, that the period of deployment is 1 year, and it will be reviewed after nine months. Another thing of importance to mention, Madam Speaker, the cost. I know Kenyans are wondering and asking questions on who bears the cost. It is good to be on record, Madam Speaker, that the entire cost, 100%, will be bared and borne by the UN. Madam Speaker, I want to challenge and call those of us who had reservation to please, let's support our disciplined officers to go to the country of Haiti with our prayers and support, and we continue reclaiming our position as a country in the global stage. We have done it before, and we are going to continuously do it. So, Madam Speaker, with these few remarks, I beg to reply. Thank you so much.
Honorable members, thank you. Honorable members, I now put the question that taking into consideration the recommendation of the Joint Committee of the National Assembly, Departmental Committee on Administration and Internal Security, and the Senate Standing Committee on the National Security, Defense and Foreign Relations, in its report on the request regarding the deployment of officers of the National Police Service to the Multinational Security Support Mission to Haiti, laid on the table of this House on Wednesday, 15th November 2023, and pursuant to the provisions of Article 248A, this House approves the deployment of the officers of the National Police Service to the Multinational Security Support Mission to Haiti. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of the contrary opinion say nay? Nay. The ayes have it. Next order.
Order number 10, report on the first supplementary estimates for the financial year 2023-2024.
The Honorable proceed. Chairperson Budget, proceed.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, and I thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. Honorable Speaker, I rise to move the report from the Budget and Appropriations Committee, the report on the supplementary estimates 1 of the financial year 2023-2024. And Honorable Speaker, previously I've had many minutes to move this kind of bills and reports, and therefore, Honorable Speaker, today I don't wish to take so much time because I can see we have a lot of business that is important, Honorable Speaker, today. But Honorable Speaker, I just first of all want to wish to bring to the attention of the House that the budget that you are currently implementing is a budget of 3.744 trillion shillings. And Honorable Speaker, what we are doing with these supplementary estimates is that we are realigning government priorities in regards to the current circumstance, Honorable Speaker, so that we are able to allocate our resources in areas that are high impact and that will have the shortest time from the input to output. Honorable Speaker, we are making this supplementary budget or estimates in a situation where our country, Honorable Speaker, is facing a myriad of issues. And therefore, what we try to do as the Budget and Appropriations Committee is to align the limited resources that we have as our country to be able to address the issues that are current and that which gives a great foundation for the future of Kenya that we are creating. And to go to specifics, Honorable Speaker,
Honorable Chairperson, I hope you will move the motion as written after you finish.
Yes, I'll move after I finish. Or I can do that even now. I moved. Honorable Speaker, I had wished to do this when I am concluding, but it's always better to do it earlier so that members can also get talking points from the essence of the order paper. Honorable Speaker, I wish, that is the report on the first supplementary estimates for financial year 2023-2024. Honorable Speaker, I wish that this House adopts the report of the Budget and Appropriations Committee on the first supplementary estimates for the financial year 2023-2024, laid on the table of the House on Wednesday, 15th November 2023, and pursuant to the provisions of Article 223 of the Constitution and Standing Order 243, 1, that approves the increment of the total recurrent expenditure for financial year 2023-2024 by Kenya shillings 90 billion, 717 million, 303 million, 737 shillings in respect of the votes as contained in the first schedule. 2, approves a decrease of the total capital expenditure for financial year 2023-2024 by Kenya shillings 24 billion, 515 million, 810,722 shillings in respect of the votes as contained in the first schedule. 3, approves an overall increase in the total budget for financial year 2023-2024 by Kenya shillings 66 billion, 201 million, 573,015 shillings in respect of the votes as contained in the first schedule. And 4, approves Kenya shillings 1 billion, 736 million, 121,765 spent under Article 223 of the Constitution in respect of the votes outlined in the third schedule. 5, resolves as the first schedule forms the basis for the introduction of the Supplementary Appropriations Number 3 Bill of 2023, and 6, further makes the policy resolutions contained in the fourth schedule to the order paper. Honorable Speaker, I'll just add a few remarks before I move. I was saying that we are in a circumstance where we are trying to align the limited resources that we have as our country to be able to address the current situation of issues, Honorable Speaker, as we also lay a basis of the growth of our economy. And Honorable Speaker, I want to laud this House because of the policies that we have been making, both on the finance sphere, but also in regards to budget, because all these are laws that we make in this House. And Honorable Speaker, I don't know whether the consultations can be a bit lower.
Honorable members, let us give the chair budget kindly opportunity to be heard. So let's consult in lower tones. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Honorable Speaker,
I'm saying that I want to laud this House because of the policies that we have been making, both on the finance front and also on the budget, because these are laws that we make. And even budget making process, Honorable Speaker, is part of lawmaking in one respect. Honorable Speaker, I want to say that our country has had several issues that we are dealing with in regards to the economic growth, on the front of the macros, but also what I would call the economy of the pocket. And Honorable Speaker, the economy of the pocket, where the rubber meets the road, I want to say that there is room for improvement in terms of making sure that the standard of life of Kenyans is improving, also as we lower the cost of living. And Honorable Speaker, this is always a moving target, and we are doing everything possible so that we have this contained and aligned. But Honorable Speaker, it is important also that we celebrate some of the issues that are happening in our country. Even with the hardships that we have in our economy, Honorable Speaker, it is important that I mention to this House that through the policies that we make, we have been able to contain inflation as one of the parameters of macroeconomics, Honorable Speaker. And I want to say that a year ago where we were in terms of inflation, in regards to now or comparative to now, we are in a much better situation. And Honorable Speaker, I say so because our inflation was almost going into double digits. But as we talk here, Honorable Speaker, last month, the data we got from the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics is that our inflation is actually below 7%. It is important that I mention that our benchmark in terms of inflation in Kenya is 5%, and then there is a band of plus or minus 2.5% either way. And therefore, Honorable Speaker, on that front, it is important that I mention we are doing well. But Honorable Speaker, on the way we measure inflation, we look at it on the food side, which is food inflation, and also we add fuel inflation, and then lastly, co-inflation. I want to say that we have been doing pretty well out of the fiscal policies that we have employed in terms of containing food inflation. But also, Honorable Speaker, we have a challenge on fuel inflation, and I am sure the policies that we are putting in place will also address that sphere. And therefore, Honorable Speaker, our inflation would actually be much lower were it not for the gains that have been subdued by the fuel inflation side, Honorable Speaker, and especially on issues that are largely beyond the control of our country, Kenya. But Honorable Speaker, also, on the other parameter of economic growth, it is important that I mention to these colleagues of mine who have been very, very instrumental in also shaping the decisions that we make as the Budget Committee, but that notwithstanding the economy of the pocket that is not doing so well, Kenya as a macro economy, Honorable Speaker, is actually doing very well comparatively globally. Honorable Speaker, in the first quarter of 2023, Kenya economy grew by 5.3%. Honorable Speaker, in the second quarter of 2023, the Kenyan GDP grew by 5.4%. Honorable Speaker, this is not just the Kenyan data, but data from even Bretton Woods institutions like IMF and World Bank. And in that respect, Honorable Speaker, Kenya in the first quarters of 2023 was actually the 29th fastest growing economy in the world. Honorable Speaker, these are things that are important to mention, where I also comment that there is also something that we need to do to make sure that this economic growth is felt in the pockets of Kenyans. Honorable Speaker, why are we making this supplementary budget? Honorable Speaker, I'll mention just a few, because I want to conclude in the next 5 minutes so that we go to also the debate. And I want members, kindly, if it's possible, because this is the essence of this debate, you may conceptualize it. The essence of making this supplementary is, number one, to address the issue of payment of interest rates so that we can go step by step. The real reason of having this supplementary budget now is because we as a country want to provision enough resources for the payment of interest rates. Out of the total increment of this budget, of around 200 billion, 145 billion Kenya shillings is an increment in the payments of interest rates. Honorable Speaker, one would ask, why are we doing it now? And we just did our budget in the month of June. The reason is this, Honorable Speaker. From the month of June to date, we have had two main issues happening around interest rates. One is the interest rate itself, which is the cost of money. Honorable Speaker, we have had to raise our interest rates at home so that, Honorable Speaker, we can make Kenya attractive for capital inflows. Honorable Speaker, this is a contractionary measure, Honorable Speaker, that we are doing as an economy. Honorable Speaker, interest rates, therefore, domestically and globally, have been rising. And therefore, the cost of our debt has been rising. And therefore, we needed to provision monies for the payment of this interest rate. On the second front is Forex. Honorable Speaker, our debt 1 year ago was 50-50, 50% domestic and 50% foreign. In a debt situation of 10 trillion, it therefore means our foreign debt was around 5 trillion Kenya shillings. And actually, to quote precisely, Honorable Speaker, it was actually 4.3 trillion Kenya shillings in terms of our domestic debt. Now, out of this foreign debt, majority of it, Honorable Speaker, is dollar denominated. But the Kenya shilling has lost around 20% from January to date. And actually also from June to now, we have been subdued. And therefore, Honorable Speaker, we are provisioning monies so that we are able to pay our obligations timely, Honorable Speaker. And the reason for this, Honorable Speaker, is that the government funds itself using cash, which is the Kenya shilling. But in terms of the payments of international or foreign obligations, we use domestic currencies. That is where there is a loss, Honorable Speaker, and therefore our country will be spending an extra 145 billion Kenya shillings as an increase in cost of our debts when it comes to repayment of our interest rates alone. Secondly, Honorable Speaker, some of the increments that you have made in this budget, number one is education. We have put in 20 billion Kenya shillings into TSC. Honorable Speaker, out of the policies we have passed in this House, policies around NITA, policies around the new NSHF, Honorable Speaker, the previous NHIF, the issues around NSSF, we needed to provision TSC with money, being the largest employer in Kenya, for the portion as the employer to be able to cater for those statutories. Honorable Speaker, secondly, and I want members to also be keen on this, we have also provisioned around 5.4 billion Kenya shillings that is going into bridging the gap of the deficit of the JSS funding in terms of capitation. Honorable Speaker, in this budget, we have provisioned that money. Honorable Speaker, in this supplementary also, we have provisioned monies for the new funding model of the tertiary education. We have put in over 4 billion Kenya shillings into giving scholarships and loans to TVET students. And on the other side of the universities, Honorable Speaker, we have provisioned enough resources for the intake that is currently in course and the next intake. Honorable Speaker, we have also provisioned 3.4 billion Kenya shillings, monies for the infrastructure of JSS institutions. And Honorable Speaker, we have also recalibrated that. That money will no longer be going to the Ministry of Education. All that monies will be going to NGCDF because the patrons, the members of this House, have shown that they are the best managers when it comes to execution of public facilities. Honorable Speaker, also, we have provisioned 8.25 billion Kenya shillings that will go into post-harvest management and also the purchase of fertilizer for the next season. And therefore, Honorable Speaker, when it comes to inputs of our agriculture sector, we have taken care of that. Honorable Speaker, we have provisioned monies for sugar reforms. And some of these monies, Honorable Speaker, will be going into payment of arrears owed to Kenya's sugar farmers, Honorable Speaker, so that we can continue releasing more resources to our economy. Honorable Speaker, there is a lot more that we have done in the supplementary estimates, and I will call upon members to also go through the report so that we can also participate. We have given monies to NCPB for the purchase of maize so that the sweat of our farmers will not go down to drains, Honorable Speaker, and we have also provisioned money for coffee cherry fund, Honorable Speaker, so that our coffee farmers can have, Honorable Speaker, a facility to take forward the agriculture sector, and especially when it comes to cash crops. Honorable Speaker, on the policy front, we have seen a lot of improvement by the National Treasury insofar as invoking Article 223 is concerned. This time we are only approving less than 2 billion Kenya shillings, monies spent at Article 223. And the bulk of this money, Honorable Speaker, is going into post-harvest management. Honorable Speaker, also lastly, is that out of the reports that we usually make in this House, Honorable Speaker, the National Treasury or the Executive has now come up with a pending bills commission, Honorable Speaker, which will go a long way into addressing those pending bills that have really hampered the growth of our SMEs, Honorable Speaker, majority of whom are owed these monies. Honorable Speaker, with those many remarks, I want to really thank all the members of this House. You have always been a source of knowledge to us as the Budget Committee. I also want to thank all the departmental chairs who have appeared before us for the last few days. And something we also do as the Budget and Appropriations Committee, Honorable Speaker, is that we also ride on the knowledge and the wisdom of the departmental chairs. Honorable Speaker, if you check our reports, you'll clearly see that the Budget and Appropriations Committee respect all the decisions by the departmental chairs. There is usually hardly variations. We rarely never do any variations from the departmental chairs' reports because we believe we should also be capitalizing on the wisdom and the knowledge of the members of the departmental committees in this House. With those many remarks, Honorable Speaker, I beg to move and request the very able Vice Chair of the Budget and Appropriations Committee, the Honorable Mary Emase, to second.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I'm being told to be brief. I think members are eager to contribute to this motion. Madam Speaker, as I second, I just want to join my chair from the onset to just appreciate the contribution of the members, all departmental committees, to the budget process. The report you have before you is a combination of a lot of work, effort, commitment, time that members have put through without forgetting our Parliamentary Budget Office that have had to assist us, direct advice in unpacking the supplementary budget and the whole process up to report preparation and recommendations. Having said that, Madam Speaker, I just want to emphasize on one aspect. You know, for us to appreciate the budget, we must understand the macroeconomic fundamentals underpinning it. The chair has articulated in details, being an economist and a very able chair, but I just want to emphasize, because it's important, we must understand why we have done what we have done in the manner in which we have done it. Madam Speaker, we are preparing Supplementary 1 at a time when Kenya is experiencing a very difficult economic time, and not only Kenya, many countries across the world. On this front, therefore, Madam Chair, I must say our economy has been very resilient to the shocks, the economic shocks. I remember during our discussions, one of the members was telling us, you are blaming everything to the war in Russia, to now the war in Israel. But these are facts we must confront. Even we are still recovering even from the impacts of the COVID-19. Then came the wars, and now we have the vulnerability to debt, and because of the economic tightening of many advanced economies, we are seeing increase in interest rates, we are seeing fluctuations in the exchange rates. So all these things have affected us. And therefore, in view of the foregoing, Madam Speaker, we had to rearrange the budget. We have to rearrange the budget in a manner that addresses or mitigates the impacts of these challenges in the economy. Therefore, just a case in point, we must do this so that we can be able to cushion Kenyans, cushion the nation from more or severe, impacts of the same, and alleviate Kenyans from suffering. Therefore, just a case in point, I want to speak to the aspect of debt. We know that Kenya borrowed the Eurobond sometime in 2014. But to date, that has attracted 70 billion. And right now we're having our foreign debt at 448.7 billion, and domestic debt is at 415, and we are about to borrow more. So what am I saying? At this point, when we're preparing this budget, we have to prepare it in a manner that we are addressing consolidation measures so that we are able to reduce the deficit and also reduce accumulation of debt. And how do we do that? We must rearrange our budget. We have our needs and wants. But at this point, this is a time when we have to ask ourselves, what can wait? What can't wait? And what can we do away with altogether? And that is where the austerity measures come in. So, I know even when we're looking at the budget, most of the departmental committees had wish lists, endless wish lists. But then we had to make a decision to make rearrangements, so that we can create what we call physical space, more leg room for us to be able to rearrange the money, take some of that money to help us pay our debt, and also allocate to other priority areas, emergent areas, like address issues to mitigate El Nino, the issue of climate change, and many others. So, even if we have to borrow by rearranging, then we will end up borrowing less as opposed to borrowing more. So this rearrangement was necessary in the budget. Having said that, allow me to touch on a few areas. The sectors that are benefiting more from this rearrangement, one of them is agriculture. We know that agriculture sector has employed a number of reforms towards improving competitiveness of our exports, towards securing food security, so that in the long run we are able to bring down the cost of food and therefore the cost of living. And at the same time, we know that agricultural sector is the one that creates a lot of employment for this particular sector. So I just want to say that this sector has benefited more. We have 516 million going towards paying arrears to farmers. We have 550 million for food security diversification, among others. And also, as I approach conclusion, education sector is also one of the biggest beneficiaries. There is 1 billion to Nairobi schools. We know that Nairobi has the largest population, and some of the constituencies you will find they have 2 schools or 5 schools. So there's more money going towards supporting Nairobi schools to create more schools. We also have new funding going to the new model university funding to support education in our universities. And also there is allocations going to social protection. We will remember we registered our elderly persons, and now we have allocated 2.8 billion towards that end. And also there is more allocations, including to the Hustler Fund and many other. Thank you, Madam Speaker. I want to stop there. Thank you for the opportunity.
Point of order on the seconding. Let me propose the question first, surely. Because what exactly are you? I think members are anxious about this. And I must say my claim to fame is that Honorable Emase was my very able senior accountant when I was at the judiciary. And I can see she hasn't lost her touch. Honorable members, I now propose the question that this House adopts the report of the Budget and Appropriations Committee on the first supplementary estimates for the financial year 2023 and 2024, laid on the table of this House on Wednesday, 15th November 2023, and pursuant to the provisions of Article 223 of the Constitution and Standing Order number 243. 1. Approves an increment of the total recurrent expenditure of the financial year 2023-2024 by 90,717,383,717 in respect of the votes as contained in the first schedule. Obviously, my math is not that good. 2. Approves a decrease of the total capital expenditure of the financial year 2023-2024 by Kenya shillings 24,515,810,722 in respect of the votes as contained in the first schedule. 3. Approves an overall increase in the total budget of the financial year 2023-2024 by Kenya shillings 66,201,571,015 in respect of the votes contained in the first schedule. And 4. Approves Kenya shillings 1,736,121,765 spent under Article 223 of the Constitution in respect of the votes outlined in the third schedule. And 5, resolves that the first schedule forms the basis for the introduction of the Supplementary Appropriation Bill number 3 of 2023, and 6, further makes the policy resolutions contained in the fourth schedule to the order paper. You may now have your point of order before the debate?
Yes.
Or do you want the debate to start, then maybe your point of order can mature?
I'm studying order number 97, Madam Speaker, on the limitation of the debate, that in the view that members have so much interest to contribute on this debate, we reduce from 10 minutes to 5 minutes, so that many members can be able to get opportunity to contribute. And I'll be the first to be given opportunity to contribute, Madam Speaker. Thank you.
Honorable members, is the House in agreement that we limit debate? Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of the contrary opinion say nay? So the debate is limited to 5 minutes per member. Of course, with the exception of the Leader of Majority and Leader of Minority. Can we give him the privilege of going first? Since
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Let me thank Honorable Rocco, although he's stretching his luck that he wants to abrogate himself the responsibility of the Speaker to allocate who starts. But he's a good man, Honorable Speaker, and I rise to support this motion, Honorable Speaker, on the supplementary estimates. The first supplementary estimates in this financial year, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, as the Chair and the Vice Chair have very well articulated, this first supplementary comes in the backdrop of a very difficult time for our economy and indeed the global economy. Honorable Speaker, just to add on to the issues that the Chairman and the Vice Chair have alluded to, the global economy, Honorable Speaker, as we all know, is still in the recovery mode, post-COVID. And this recovery post-COVID, Honorable Speaker, has had huge ramifications on growing economies like ours and others in the developing world, and especially informed by happenings beyond the borders of our developing economies. Happenings in the Americas, Honorable Speaker, happenings in the Western world, in Europe, and now, Honorable Speaker, even happening in the Middle East with the war between the Hamas and Israelis, Honorable Speaker, in a way hugely impacting the supply chain around the oil and gas sector. And Honorable Speaker, because we are not an oil-producing country, but an oil-consuming country, any interruptions to the supply chain of oil emanating from the war either in Ukraine and Russia, between Ukraine and Russia, or the war in the Middle East will have an impact on our local economy, Honorable Speaker. And we have seen that even with the consistent rise of oil prices, global oil prices in the world, and also in the distortions of our foreign exchange rates against the hard currencies, Honorable Speaker. And those who understand, Honorable Speaker, will know that the global oil prices also have a huge impact on our exchange rates, especially that against the dollar, because most of this crude oil is traded, and even refined oil is traded in dollars, Honorable Speaker. And the demand for crude oil or refined oil into our economy, in a way, also helps to drive up the cost of the dollar against the shilling, Honorable Speaker. And why not, Honorable Speaker, as have been said, why not for the government-to-government contractual arrangements that guarantees, one, that we have adequate oil supplies in our country, Honorable Speaker, and with prices that are hedged, and therefore we are not subject to very frequent fluctuations of the oil prices in the world, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, the other issues that confront us as we work on these first supplementary estimates, Honorable Speaker, you know we had challenges with the implementation of the Finance Act 2023, with all the cases that went to court, and that in a way impacted our revenue collection. Honorable Speaker, you remember the Kenya Revenue Authority have already reported that within the first quarter, they had a shortfall of about 79.3 billion on revenue turnovers from July, August, and September. I am glad, Honorable Speaker, to note that in the month of October, all the revenue streams that KRA is collecting from, be it VAT on fuel, be it excise duty, be it our income tax, all our revenue streams and our tax instruments are performing now, and at least, Honorable Speaker, I was happy to note in one of the reports by KRA that taxes, especially around fuel, are now performing above target, at almost 106% above target, and there is hope that if that progresses, Honorable Speaker, then we shall be able to catch up with the revenue estimates. It's surprising, Honorable Speaker, because there are those who have argued that our taxation on fuel has discouraged Kenyans from consuming fuel. And they will be shocked from estimates and data coming from IPRA and KRA. The consumption of fuel in this country has indeed done the opposite, surprisingly. The consumption of fuel has gone up, and that is why even revenues from the consumption of fuel, Honorable Speaker, are performing. I hear somebody behind me speaking about consumption of alcohol. I'm speaking about consumption of fuel, not alcohol. I don't care, Honorable Speaker, whether the consumption of alcohol goes up or goes down, so long as they can pay taxes. But fuel in a big way, because those who have been listening to those critics of this administration, Honorable Speaker, those are some of the things they have been saying, that even the optimal revenue tax, the tax generation curve, we have reached the optimal level of the curve, that we can no longer generate more revenue from some of these taxes. And therefore, Honorable Speaker, I just want to speak to those critics of this administration and tell them We are yet to get there. We indeed, VAT on fuel is the first evidence that indeed that is an area where we were yet to exploit our opportunities to broaden our tax base, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, we have had other challenges, Honorable Speaker, besides those of revenue, the challenges that have been alluded to of foreign exchange fluctuations and interest rate increments, both at the domestic level and even on the international market. And as I said, Honorable Speaker, if you look at what happened in the Americas after the COVID pandemic, the American government had a lot of subsidies that they were giving to their people, which created a huge inflationary situation in their country. And therefore, to help mop up the excess liquidity in the market, they increased their Fed rates, Honorable Speaker, almost to 5.5, 5.6, almost 6%. And that, in a way, has affected our interest rates locally, Honorable Speaker. Besides what the chair of the Budget Committee alluded to, that we've also had to increase our local interest rates to be able to attract investments into our country, especially from funds that come to invest in our country, Honorable Speaker, in government securities. And with that, Honorable Speaker, that has meant that our cost of financing or cost of servicing our debt has also gone up as interest rates go up. Honorable Speaker, members will note from these supplementary estimates, close to 145 billion shillings is expenditure that is going to service our debt. Honorable Speaker, if you can protect me from these people making noise behind me, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable members, order, Senior Counsel.
Honorable Speaker, I was saying,
proceed.
Honorable Speaker, I was saying 145 billion shillings going to service debt. And again, Honorable Speaker, those who are pontificating about how good they are in fighting for Kenyans on the cost of living are never honest enough to tell Kenyans that the huge burden of public debt that we are now having to pay an extra 145 billion shillings for was occasioned by bad macroeconomic policies under a regime that they served in and that they supported, Honorable Speaker. And we must be honest, Honorable Speaker. And I say this with all due respect to my colleagues, even those of us, those that I am engaging with in the National Dialogue Committee. Because, Honorable Speaker, I have seen them pontificate on the cost of living, demand that we must now implement policies that we as a Kenya Kwanza administration never went out to Kenyans to campaign on. Because we campaigned on the backdrop, Honorable Speaker, of workable macroeconomic policies that will ensure that this country is on a trajectory of economic recovery, anchored on sustainable macroeconomic policies, not short-term, populist, politically expedient policies of subsidizing consumption, Honorable Speaker. In these supplementary estimates, Honorable Speaker, the chair of the Energy Committee and the chair of Budget will tell you we are having now to pay 4 billion shillings for subsidizing fuel, not bills incurred by this administration, but fuel subsidy bills incurred by the previous administration, Honorable Speaker. And when we told them that the policies of subsidizing consumption that they were pursuing were not helping this country, Honorable Speaker, they will not listen to us. I say this, Honorable Speaker, because I sit at a place where I have seen people now begin to use the question of the cost of living to play populist politics. I must thank the Budget and Appropriations Committee and members of this House who have stood to do what is right for the country and for posterity, rather than doing what is populist, because it's very easy, Honorable Speaker, as I said during the State of the Nation address debate, for His Excellency the President to wake up today and announce very populist policies, subsidize unga. Whereas unga now, Honorable Speaker, I was in from a friend of mine called Ouma in Umoja, sending me screenshots of a supermarket in Umoja where they are now buying pembe at 157. some of the most expensive brands of unga. Therefore, if those who purport to have gone to the streets on account of the cost of living, and they use the sufuria and unga as the excuse, Honorable Speaker, today, when unga was at 210, they were in the streets. Today, you want to threaten us that you can go back to the streets on account of unga at 157 for the most expensive brands. There are brands that are going for even 140 shillings. We must drop this pretense, Honorable Speaker. We must speak to the issues. I have seen others attempt to excite and incite university students on account of funding, the new funding model, Honorable Speaker. And it's unfortunate, Honorable Speaker, that even very senior leaders in this country, Honorable Speaker, speak to issues that they have absolutely no information on. They have not sought to understand what is this housing agenda, Honorable Speaker. They have not sought to understand what is this new funding model of our universities, Honorable Speaker. Today, we have 15 billion shillings here, 14 actually, Honorable Speaker, 10.3 million shillings going to the university's funding model to help to the Higher Education Loans Board. Yet you see political leaders attempting to incite our university students over help. Shame on them, Honorable Speaker. The Budget and Appropriations Committee and the National Treasury have 10.3 billion shillings to go to the Higher Education Loans Board. Shame on to them, Honorable Speaker. 3.6 billion is going to university scholarships under the new funding model. Our school capitation, Honorable Speaker, the junior secondary school, another 6.5 billion. The Kenya National Examinations Council, to ensure that our children who have sat for their exams are marked and results delivered in time, another 2.8 billion. Our TVET institutions for funding, for the new funding model, 4.6. Honorable Speaker, on account of the Kenya University and Colleges Placement Services and the funding of the new universities and colleges funding model, Honorable Speaker, you can see 14 plus 4.6 billion is close to 20 billion shillings going to fund our university and college students. That is what a responsible and responsive government does to its people, to ensure that our parents who have students in TVET, parents who have students in junior secondary, parents who have children in our universities, do not have to incur the burden of having to pay very high fees, Honorable Speaker, for their children in universities by us appropriating adequate resources to the Higher Education Loans Board to ensure that they fund and give scholarships to children from the most vulnerable of our backgrounds, Honorable Speaker. I know many of these leaders, Honorable Speaker, even very senior leaders, have had their own children attend public universities and benefit from the old funding model that never cared to know whether you are a son of a member of parliament, whether you are a son of a governor, whether you are a son of a president, whether you are a son of a former prime minister, or a son of a former vice president, or a son of a sitting deputy president, and they would fund you at the same level as a son of a hustler. The new funding model, Honorable Speaker, is paying focus to the downtrodden, the most vulnerable of our children, so that members of parliament, sons and daughters of former prime ministers and former vice presidents, those are people who can afford to pay for university fees for their children. They pay for their children, but the sons and daughters of hustlers get 100% scholarship. They get funding from HELB, Honorable Speaker. This is what this supplementary budget is doing, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, we're in an era where now we are talking about COVID and El Nino rains. And this El Nino rains, Honorable Speaker, came with some unmitigated things or emergencies that were never forecast, Honorable Speaker, at the time we were doing the budget at the beginning of the year. And we were never able to provide adequate resources to deal with post-harvest losses. The President did announce that we shall be, even during the State of the Nation address, that 100 mobile maize dryers and milk coolers are being procured. These resources, Honorable Speaker, you will see 2.4 billion shillings going towards the crop post-harvest to deal with the issue of maize dryers, to ensure that the harvest, the extra 18 million bags harvested by patriotic farmers across the country will not go to waste on account of the heavy rains, that we'll have mobile dryers, farmers will be able to pay
only 70 shillings down from 350 shillings to be able to dry their maize and ensure that there is unga available in the sufurias that some of my colleagues here are putting on their heads and pretending that they are leading what they call a sufuria revolution. There is no sufuria revolution. There is now a revolution to ensure that we are able to subsidize production and give Kenyans affordable food. Honorable Speaker, not just maize, even milk. There is likely to be a milk glut with the heavy rains, Honorable Speaker. Our milk farmers and dairy producers are likely to produce milk. We must ensure that we have milk coolers. We're able to convert that milk to powder milk to store for any eventualities during the dry season, Honorable Speaker. And there are many other interventions, Honorable Speaker, touching on security, universal health coverage, Honorable Speaker. Although I have reservation, Honorable Speaker, I have seen reallocations where we are reallocating 200 million shillings, Honorable Speaker, to go to some primate research institute.
One minute.
Honorable Speaker, I was saying, how do we allocate 200 million shillings to research about monkeys? Because this primate research, Honorable Speaker, is not researching on universal health coverage for human beings. How do you remove 200 million shillings from universal health coverage to go and research about monkeys? I know there's a cabinet secretary who told us they would relocate monkeys from some forest to another forest, Honorable Speaker. I don't know what research is this that we want to fund with 200 million shillings. I want to propose that the committees in charge should be proposing amendments this afternoon to remove that money and take it back to more sustainable programs, Honorable Speaker. Worst case scenario, take it back to universal health coverage. How do we start taking care of monkeys at the expense of human beings, Honorable Speaker? Surely. Honorable Speaker, with that, I beg to support, and I want to call to shame those who want to use the cost of living as an excuse to incite Kenyans. We have sustainable macroeconomic policies that will deal decisively with the question of the cost of living to Kenyans. Let us not play politics with it. Let us not use the global economic challenges that we have around the world to try and incite the Kenyan people. They have a government that is responsive, a government that thinks about them, cares about them, and is dealing with their issues in a more sustainable manner other than the politically expedient avenues that we saw in the past, Honorable Speaker. With that, I beg to support.
Very well, Leader. And you have really spoken on the research on monkeys. And I know very well that even teachers outside there just says who needs to be absorbed. Maybe that's where we should take it. At the risk of contributing, let me allow the Chair of Budget to make an amendment, honorable members. This will actually assist us and you to discuss the entire report as one piece. Chair of Budget, please.
Honorable Speaker, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity so that members can debate with this in mind also. In consultations with the Chairman of the Security and National Administration, my brother, Honorable Tongoyo, there are some few amendments, very marginal. Notice is given that the Chairperson of the Budget and Appropriations Committee, let me just go direct to the point, Honorable Speaker, that the motion on the report of the Budget and Appropriations Committee on the first supplementary estimates for this financial year be amended by inserting the following paragraphs immediately after the words order paper appearing in subparagraph 6. A, subject to, that is Roman 1, deletion of the figure Kenya shillings 1,409,700,000 in column 10 of the first schedule of the report, that is gross capital estimates, in vote 1017 under the program 0704,000, that is State House Affairs, appearing on page 1 of 9 of the schedule, and substituting therefore the figure 1,309,700,000. 2, deletion of the figure Kenya shillings 1,357,000,000 in column 10 of the first schedule, that is gross capital estimates, in vote 1024 under program 062,6,000, population management services, appearing on page 1 of 9 of the schedule, and substituting therefore the figure Kenya shillings 1,257,000,000. 3, deletion of the figure Kenya shillings 7,213,220,000 in column 10 of the first schedule, that is gross capital estimates in vote 1026, under program 0629,000, general administration and support services, appearing in page 1 of 9 of the schedule, and substituting therefore Kenya shillings figure Kenya shillings 7,714,220,000. 4, insertion of the figure Kenya shillings 100 million in column 6 of the second schedule, that is development reduction in vote 1017 at a program 0704,000, State House Affairs, appearing on page 1 of 26 of the schedule. 5, deletion of the figure 100 million in column 6 of the second schedule, that is development reduction in vote 1024 at a program 0626,000, population management services, appearing on page 2 of 26 of the schedule, and substituting therefore Kenya shillings 200 million. Deletion of the figure Kenya shillings 200 million in column 6 of the second schedule, development reduction in vote 1026 at a program 0629,000, general administration and support services, appearing on page 2 of 26 of the schedule. B, affecting the consequential amendments in the report, and signed by the chairperson, Budget and Appropriations Committee. Honorable Chair, Speaker, what the Honorable Togoyo was trying to achieve is to capitalize more money into police modernization program, a program that had a deficit of 200 million, which he has been able to fund by internal realignments. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. And I call upon the Honorable Chairperson, Honorable Tongoyo, the security man, and National Administration to second.
Chair, Security.
Thank you so much, Chair, Speaker.
And please inform the House what it's all about, because we want to absorb it to the mainstream.
I want to
report.
actually clarify in simple terms what the whole amendment is and what he intends to achieve. But first, I want to thank the Chair, Budget and Appropriation Committee, and of course the entire Budget Committee for seeing it fit to bring this amendment. Speaker, it's true the Chair had mentioned that we know the situation we are in as a country, especially on matter security. His Excellency the President had always been talking about bringing modernization and revolutionize our security apparatus. And we had got a facility, and in this budget, it was actually about 6.5 billion to modernize our security agencies, actually the National Police Service, to buy the AMRAPs, APCs, the gunshot helicopters, the unmanned vehicle that is actually the drones. And what we intend to achieve is to protect that fund so that it can able to help our security personnel to enhance their operation so that we can able to tackle the insecurity that we are facing as a country, Mr. Speaker. So there were a little bit, some small cuts, and that is what we wanted to cure, so that the very crucial services of security don't get affected, Mr. Speaker. So with this, I second the amendment. Thank you.
Honorable members, I now propose the question that the motion be debated as amended by the Chair of Budget. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. And I also want to order that the amendments as prescribed on this sheet, which I'm holding and which is in circulation, be provided to all the honorable members so that as they debate this motion, they are able to actually refer to it, especially as we proceed to the Committee of Supplies. Thank you. Next to speak on this, and first here is Honorable James Nyika. Order. Honorable members, further guidance that we deal with the amendment first before we proceed to the entire report. If it's the mood in the House that I put the question, I therefore put the question that the amendment thereof proposed by the chair of the Budget Committee be part of the report. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. To the motion as amended, first to speak on the amended motion, James Nikal.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to contribute to the debate on the supplementary budget. Mr. Speaker, I must applaud the Finance Committee, the Budget Committee for this, because it is important that we actually get these supplementary budgets. But the government budget that actually drives the economy. It is the biggest financial supplier to the economy. So that if we have that sorted out, we are okay. But Mr. Speaker, the main objective of any economic activity, of anything, is the welfare of the people. It does not matter how good the policies are. It does not matter how sound they are and how pleasing they sound. If the people do not feel it in their daily lives, in the food they put on the table, in what they pay for energy that they use in their homes, what they put in their cars, what they pay for public transport, what they feel in their health care, what they feel in their education, then whatever improvement is of no consequence. And I think the chair of the budget actually put it very clearly when he reduced it to the word economics of the pockets. It is at that level that we feel it. And therefore, when we do all these things, there will only be growth if people feel in their pockets that they can live. It does not matter. You must be able to wake up, get food on the table, travel on your matatu, get onto your border. That is what matters. So when the issues that we are addressing in this country is to a large extent still the cost of living. We cannot run away from it. Whatever we do, that is the thing we must address. When we talk of debts, it is not fair when you are in government to keep blaming the first government. That is why you are in government. Sort out the problems. Don't keep saying this is the person who did this. Okay, we have had that from the time of campaign. Now we want solutions. If the debts, we say they are rising, the debts can only rise if you are taking debts now. You can't then blame it on the past. Of all the things I've heard, we're talking a lot. I'm not an economist, but we're talking a lot of paying debts. That is fair, so that we remain credible in the world of money. But I've never heard us talk about restructuring. I don't think as a country we can insist that we'll pay all the debts even if our children are dying. That is one thing I've never heard. I know the chair of budget is somebody who is very well grounded in economics, but I've never heard us talking about restructuring. Must we pay today even when our children are dying? Can't we say that this will pay that? That I've never heard. Whether this is on purpose, I've heard it in many circles, but not when we are dealing with our issue. When we talk of increasing taxes so that we increasing rates so that we attract money from abroad, we must also realize that if the debts are increased, it has an effect on our economy. People cannot borrow here and actually get into business because of that. So there must be a very clear balance on that. The leader of majority actually made a very good statement that you reach an optimum level when you are talking about taxes or even the fuel. You will get increased revenue as the taxes go up, but you reach a point that actually now the revenue is reduced. Although we are saying that we have not got the optimum level, we are getting there. But even today in the media, we have reports that are indicating that we are collecting less, particularly for the areas where we were thinking from the taxes. So that is something that this way we actually look at. These are simple, these are well-known facts. Even where we apply money, I actually am happy that you're applying money in education, in university, and so on. But I just want to get one point, and Mr. Speaker, I'll ask you to allow me to do this. How, when good policies, if not properly applied, actually cause a problem? I can see somebody wants to blame others for what is happening in the university. It is very simple. This funding is actually a good principle. It is how it was applied, the mechanics of implementing it. There were three.
I'm telling you, the interests here are overwhelming. You have had your bites. Honorable Julius Meli.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to support this and commend the Chair Budget and Appropriation Committee and the whole Committee of Budget, Mr. Speaker, for well-documented report on the supplementary budget. Mr. Speaker, this budget has addressed pertinent issues, and the issues that affect the people, the issues that affect the common person, the issues at play, Mr. Speaker, as a Chair of Education, I just want to pinpoint them, but I'll actually look at the whole spectrum of the budget, supplementary budget one. That one, Mr. Speaker, I want to laud the government that this time the budget has not interfered a lot with the development aspect, especially in the university education. The monies that were allocated in the main budget have actually almost remained the same. Two, Mr. Speaker, the issue of JSS. The country knows that next year we are going to have grade 8. They have actually supplied 5 billion shillings for the construction of the JSS class, for the capitation. On top of that, it was the wisdom of the Education Committee, Mr. Speaker, that 3.4 billion shillings be actually taken to NGCDF so that members of this committee will actually give a shilling for a shilling, which will be actually around 6.6 billion towards the construction of 16,000 classrooms in this republic. Mr. Speaker, that is quite commendable, and I want to say that the Budget Committee has actually done it quite well. Mr. Speaker, on the issue of university funding, and I want to alert the member for Seme that the funding formula is actually for the downtrodden, the poor. In this particular case, Mr. Speaker, I want to point to the House that last week, the Committee of Education directed the Higher Education Loans Board to give the pocket money to the students first, thereafter disburse the loans, and lastly disburse the scholarship funds. This one was very important, and this has been done, Mr. Speaker. On the issue of the JSS teachers, I want to say that it is very important that the issues that were at play has actually been captured well, Mr. Speaker. I also want to point out that we have the issue of the sugar reforms. I want to laud the government. First of all, in the main budget, most of the loans were actually written off, and actually, Mr. Speaker, the monies that were actually supplied this time were actually have been captured well. Lastly, Mr. Speaker, on the issue of budget, I want to say that this was good, and I want to thank the member for that. Asante sana, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
What's your point of order, Honorable Murungara?
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, allow me to stand under Standing Order 95, and I wish to explain as follows. Mr. Speaker, sir, As soon as we finish the debate, which we are going on very well, we are moving on to the Committee on Supply. In this committee, we will move item by item as we supply money to the government. Every member will have the opportunity to actually contribute on every item you want to contribute, and therefore, we may actually be repeating ourselves. Therefore, consider that we have the entire afternoon for all these members to talk. May I move that the mover be called upon to reply. Thank you.
Well, you know, the Speaker is blind. In as much as I've seen overwhelming interest in the debate, order members. But a member has risen from his place on standing order number 95 that we call upon the mover to reply. And I want to put the question, will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. So let me direct as follows, that as we invite the mover to reply, when we go in the afternoon in the Committee of Supplies, let the members be allowed to speak on this supplementary budget.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, and I thank all the members who have contributed. We'll be here in the afternoon, Honorable Speaker, to talk about all these issues actually on specific terms. And we'll also be available here to clarify any issues to these honorable members, our colleagues. And therefore, Honorable Speaker, I beg to reply.
Honorable members, I now put the question that the report on the first supplementary estimates for the year 2023-2024, that this House I'll take it again. I now put the question that this House adopts the report on Budget and Appropriation Committee on the first supplementary estimate for the financial year 2023-2024 laid on the table of the House on Wednesday, 15th November 2023, and pursuant to the provisions of Article 223 of the Constitution and Standing Order 243, that one, approves an increment of a total current expenditure for the financial year 2023-2024 by Kenya shillings 90,717,383,737 in respect of the votes as contained in the first schedule. 2, approves a decrease of a total capital expenditure for the financial year 2023-2024 by Kenya shillings 24,515,8,107.22 in respect of the votes as contained in the first schedule. 3, approves an overall increase in the total budget for the financial year 2023-2024 by Kenya shillings 66,201,573,015 in respect of the votes as contained in the first schedule. And 5, approves Kenya shillings 1,736,121,765 spent under Article 223 of the Constitution in respect to votes outlined in the third schedule. And that resolves that the first schedule forms the basis of the introduction of the Supplementary Appropriation Number 3, Bill 2023. And 7 further makes a policy resolution contained in the 4th schedule to the order paper. That's Roman 1 deletes the figure 1,409,700,000 in column 10 of the first schedule to the report's gross capital estimates in vote 1017 under the program 0704,000 State House Affairs, appearing on page 1 of page 9 of the schedule and substituting thereof the figures 1,309,700,000. 2, deletion of the figures Kenya shillings 1,357,000,000 in column 10 of the first schedule, gross capital estimates, in vote number 1024, under program 062-6000, population management services, appearing on page 1 of 9 of the schedule and substituting thereof with the figures 1,257,000,000. 3, deletion of the figure Kenya shillings 7,213,220,000 in column 10 of the first schedule, gross capital estimates in vote 1026 under the program 06-29000, general administration and support services, appearing in page 1 of 9 of the schedule and substituting thereof with the figures 7,413,220,000. Number 4, insertion of the figures 100,000,000 in column 6 of the second schedule, development reduction in vote head 1017 under program 0704,000 State House Affairs, appearing on page 1 of 26 of the schedule. Number 5, deletion of the figures 100,000,000 in column 6 of the second schedule, development reduction in votes 1024 under program 0620 under program 062600, population management services, appearing on page 2 of 26 of schedule and substituting thereof the figures 200,000,000. Number next, deletion of the figures 200,000,000 in column 6 of the second schedule, development reduction in votes 1026 under program 0629,000, general administration and support services, appearing on page 2 of 26 of the schedule. And B, effecting the consequential amendment in the report thereof. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Will as many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Honorable members, we may be on our feet. And the time being 1:05 p.m., this House stands adjourned until today, Thursday, 16 November 2023 at 2:30 p.m.
On the order paper, this afternoon will be a continuation of the debate of the President's address to the Parliament, the third and final day. And there will be also a motion on the report of the Standing Committee on Devolution and Intergovernmental Relations on the application for conferment of city status to the municipality of Eldoret. There is also the issue of equalization fund appropriation bill that is coming out for division. And there is several bills that are listed for committee of the whole. Key among them is the County Licensing Uniform Procedures Bill, Senate Bills number 9 of 2023, that is sponsored by Senator Mariam Sheikh Omar. The Agricultural Livestock Extension Services Bill, Senate Bills number 12 of 2022, sponsored by Senator Maureen Tabitha Mutinda. The Mangbin Bill, sponsored by Senator Enoch Wambua, and also the Startup Bill sponsored by Senator Christo Asige, and the Persons with Disabilities Bill sponsored by Senator Christo Asige too, and the Kenya Sign Language Bill sponsored by Senator Professor Margaret Kamar, together with Senator Christo Asige. Several bills are listed for second reading, and these are the Coffee Bill, sponsored by the Chairperson Standing Committee on Agriculture, Livestock and Fisheries, the Food and Feed Safety Control Coordination Bill, sponsored by the Senate Majority Leader, and there is the Maternal, Newborn and Child Health Bill, sponsored by Senator Beatrice Ogola. And then there is the County Hall Fame Bill, sponsored by Senator Miraj Abdullahi Abdurrahman, that is also coming for second reading. You can see senators are streaming into the chamber in readiness for today's sitting. And the senator for Vihiga is already in the house, Senator Ososi, and also Senator Haminda Kibwana, nominated senator. On the other motions that are listed for consideration, I beg your pardon, the motion for adoption of the report of the Standing Committee on Health on the death of the late Maureen Anyango at Mama Lucy Kibaki Hospital due to alleged medical negligence, and this is a motion by the Standing Committee on Health. The Senate will also consider a number of bills, and not bills rather, but statements that will be sought by the various senators, including the nominated Senator Haminda Kibwana, will make a statement concerning the launch of time use survey report. The nominated Senator Haminda Kibwana will also seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Health regarding the establishment of mental health unit desk in all institutions in Kenya. The Senator for Kisumu County, Senator Professor Tom Ojienda, will seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Agriculture, Livestock and Fisheries regarding the provision of agricultural extension services in Kisumu. And a statement also from the Standing Committee on Education concerning early childhood development education in Kisumu County. And from the Standing Committee on Finance and Budget concerning pending bills accrued by the county government of Kisumu. And then the Standing Committee on Roads will make a statement on the statements that are pending before the committee, and they are 9 in number, they are 6 in number. A statement by Senator Christo Asige regarding retesting of drivers of public service vehicles, PSV upon expiry. The Speaker's session is entering the chamber, and any time from now, once he takes his chair, that is Speaker Jeff Emerson Kingi, we shall hand you over to the plenary for the proceedings for today. Welcome and enjoy the plenary.
Let us pray. Almighty God, we beseech you to behold with abundant favor and blessings us, your servants, whom you've been pleased to call to leadership positions in this republic. We seek guidance to treat and consider all matters that shall come under deliberation in so just and faithful a manner as to advance the peace, prosperity, and welfare of our country and of those whose interests our church. Amen. Sergeant at Arms, kindly ring the quorum bell for 10 minutes.
The Senate quorum bell is being rung, and this is pursuant to Standing Order 40 of the Senate Standing Orders that mandates, that provides as follows, that if there is no quorum present when the chair is taken, at the time appointed for a sitting of the Senate, the Speaker shall immediately, after the prayer, order the bell to be rung for 10 minutes, and this is the process that is going on now. As we had indicated earlier on, in the order paper, is the final day for debate on the President's State of the Nation address, and this is provided for under the Standing Order of the Senate, that is Standing Order 27, that provides the President may be accompanied in the chamber by the aide. That is when the President is coming to make the State of the Nation address. And whenever the President addresses the Parliament, that is under Senate Standing Order 27, the Speaker of the Senate shall take the seat of the left of the President, and the Speaker of the National Assembly shall take the seat of the right of the President. And this occurred during the President's address last Thursday. And then the Senate now, after that address by the President, the Senate now considers or debates that President address for 3 days, and then they make their submissions on that presidential address, and that is a process that has been going on from yesterday and even today, and today has been marked as the final day for that business. Just as more history on the State of the Nation address, and this it has its origins from the United Kingdom, whereby in the UK it is called the King's Speech, and the King's Speech provides the government with an opportunity to outline its priorities for the months ahead. It is formally called the Speech from the Throne, and it is key part of the state opening of. You can see the Senate has achieved quorum. We hand over to the Senate for.
Honorable Senators, I would like to acknowledge the presence in the Speaker's Gallery this afternoon, a visiting delegation from the County Assembly of Busia. The delegation comprises 9 members and 6 officers of the Committee on Delegated Legislation, who are on a benchmarking visit with their counterpart in the Senate. Honorable Senators, I request each member of the delegation to stand when called out so that they may be acknowledged in the Senate tradition. The Honorable Joseph Okoth, the chairperson. The Honorable Irene Edua. The Honorable Dalmas Onjole. The Honorable Alexander Ayeko. The Honorable Agnes Nangame, the Honorable Said Jele, the Honorable Dennis Okinda, the Honorable Mary Odongo, the Honorable John Makabwa, Maureen Ogombe, Duncan Ojas Otwoma, Brenda Kanani, Arthur Mbetera, Edwin Kanu, and lastly, Godwin Wanyama. On behalf of the Senate, on my own behalf, I extend a warm welcome and wish you a fruitful visit. Honorable Senators also wish to acknowledge the presence in the Speaker's Gallery this afternoon, 3 research officers from the County Assembly of Garissa who are in the Senate for a 1-week benchmarking visit. Honorable Senators, on behalf of the Senate, on my own behalf, I extend a warm welcome to them and wish them a fruitful visit. I will allow the Senator for Busia, Senator Omtata, under 1 minute. Have a seat, Senator Omtata. The chair is on its feet. Even if you're pinched, you're supposed to stay put. I will allow the Senator for Busia under 1 minute to say words of welcome, to welcome the delegation from Busia County. And I will also allow Senator Beatrice Akinyi under 1 minute to extend the word welcome to the delegation from the County Assembly of Garissa. In that order, proceed, Senator Omtata.
Honorable Speaker, thank you for the opportunity to address this august House in welcoming a delegation from Busia. The honorable members seated here from Busia County Assembly and their support staff belong to the Jailer Committee and are here on a learning tour. They're on a study tour to familiarize themselves with the parliamentary processes, because they want to ensure that Busia flies high. They want to ensure that the bylaws that are made in Busia are bylaws that are in consonance with the Constitution and with the national legislation. So I welcome you to this august House. Feel at home, make use of the opportunities you have. And Mr. Speaker, sir, I would also plead to you if you have got any slush fund somewhere to help them, because they really need a lot of training to be able to do what they're supposed to do. They realize that their capacity is very low, and they are reaching out to the Senate to assist them. With those few remarks, I welcome you, feel at home, and have a fruitful tour. And thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Honorable Speaker, I would like to take this chance to welcome the team from the Garissa County Assembly, and just to give them the comfort that we are partners in the oversight function that the 2 levels play over county governments. Honorable Speaker, I also want to give them the convenience that the County Public Finance Law Amendment Bill 2023 now finally is going to give the assemblies the autonomy in running their funds. This has been long awaited, and the county assemblies have been longing for this independence. And to tell them that the Public Finance Amendment Act has been amended by inserting the following new sections immediately after Section 109. And the most critical is that they establish for each county a fund to be known as the County Assembly Fund. So I think that is good news for the counties, and as a Senate, we are committed to giving service to the counties as expected. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Next order, Clerk.
Order number 3, messages. Order number 4, petitions.
Senator for Busia, Senator Mtata.
Yeah, Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise under, I have a petition for the protection of the right to life, health, and a clean environment, and other constitutionally protected rights and fundamental freedoms of the residents of Uyombo village in Masangoni ward, Masangoni constituency, Kilifi County. We, the undersigned citizens of the Republic of Kenya and residents of Uyombo village in Masangoni ward, Kilifi South constituency, Kilifi County, draw the attention of the Senate of the Republic of Kenya to the following. That Kilifi County has a population of 1,453,787 people, according to the census of 2019, and is home to 4,153 fishermen, and has a total of 199,674 families practicing agriculture on 112,879 hectares of land. The county has continued to support education programs with 1,550 ECD centers, 41 vocational training centers, 538 primary schools, and 86 secondary schools. That Uyombe village in Masangoni ward, that's Kilifi County, the North Coast region of Kenya, has been earmarked